6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in all things crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie, how's it going?
Way to get that right.
Well, you know, you called me by your name yesterday, and that was so funny. But I just wanted to pause and make sure I was going to say the right name.
Right? Nope, I get it. I think it happens to the best of us.
It apparently does. Sandy, the true crime cat, is joining us today.
I see that.
She's driving me crazy.
Purr. Oh,
yeah. She's purring like crazy and also doing that thing where she walks around in a circle on my desk right in front of me while I'm trying to talk on the internet. So
she wants to be famous.
She does, or she just really wants my attention and for no one else to get it. But
yes,
anyway,
well, definitely
welcome.
That. Yes.
Welcome to those of you who are alive. Welcome if you are here after the fact, whether you're listening or watching. We appreciate you all so very much. And guys, we have a lot to talk about today. So I think
before we get there, though, let's. I just wanted to mark that today marks 1 year that Sebastian Rogers has been missing.
That's right. Oh my God.
Yep.
That is unreal that it's been a year.
There's just nothing.
There isn't. His poor family. Holy hell.
What the hell happened to that boy? Somebody knows.
Right? Somebody knows. How torturous for the people who love him.
And it's just been a clusterfuck of fighting and arguing and people trying to help and then getting kind of ousted and people trying to help fighting each other. And like, I just don't even know what to say about that case anymore.
Tons of finger pointing.
Oh yeah, people have big opinions. I mean, several months ago, Dog the Bounty Hunter promised he was going to solve this, which I think we all know he would probably rapidly stub his toe or sprain his ankle and he'd be done.
I mean, you know, he most famously did not find Brian Laundrie, so yeah.
Well, he did not find Sebastian Rogers either, but what a sad case.
It is such a sad case. And it sucks that a year later, there's just no good news.
Yeah. Yep.
There's nothing.
So, I mean, we're at the point now where either he really, you know, something befell him, a tragedy that no one really knows about, like he fell in a river or something like that, or a canal or a whatever. I mean, I don't know, you know, what's around there. I'm not making a prediction or anything, just saying either he befell some kind of a tragedy that no one's ever really going to know, or somebody hurt that kid. I mean, those are, that's kind of what we're down to here.
Well, it's got to be. I mean,
yeah.
I can't imagine that he is still with us at this point.
Yeah.
But everybody, you know, send some love to those who love him.
Absolutely.
This has to be a horrible day. Oh my goodness, Sanders, could you just hold still, please?
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, Katie, we're going to kick it off with a new segment. We talk about this topic all the time, but we actually have a segment for it now. And that is death penalty news.
Yes. Well, the Supreme Court of the United States handed out a ruling today that has people very surprised because very few death penalty cases make it this far. And that they're willing to hear, but this one did. And so I'm going to tell you about it. This is Richard Glossip. And Richard was convicted of murder and sentenced to death about 27 years ago in 1997. Well, the murder was in 1997. He was accused of murdering he was accused of paying a colleague, a man named Justin Sneed, with murdering their boss. They worked at a hotel or a motel. And so Justin Sneed beat the owner of this business, Van Treese, to death in the Best Budget Inn Motel in Oklahoma City, beat him to death with a baseball bat.
Mm.
And he confessed to the murder, but they took the death penalty off the table in a plea deal to testify that Glossip had paid him $10,000 to do it.
Mm.
Now, Glossip had admitted that he did help Sneed to cover up the murder after it happened, but he has always held fast that he didn't have anything to do with the murder and had no idea it was going to happen, that he didn't know there was any sort of a plan. So, why would the Supreme Court overturn this? And this is quite the case. This man his number has come up, I think, 5 times. He's had his final meal 3 times and gotten a stay
Wow.
every time. And it's the Attorney General in Oklahoma that's now saying, wait a minute, we have some big issues here, and kind of helped push this case forward.
That's
So
pretty
why?
impressive for Oklahoma because they really like executing people.
Love executing people, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently the prosecution had some issues with their star witness. The issue being that the jury didn't know everything about the witness. So apparently on the stand, Sneed denied having a psychiatric condition, which was untrue. He'd been a meth addict, but he also was on lithium and being treated for some psychiatric issues. And
Bipolar disorder, probably.
when he was asked on the stand if he had psychiatric issues, he denied that, and the prosecution didn't correct that.
Mm. Okay.
So they allowed the jury to be misled, essentially. So that's basically that's a big part of it, is that they're saying that essentially the here's what Sonia Sotomayor said, the Justice Sotomayor. She said,
Mm-hmm.
had the prosecution corrected Sneed on the stand, his credibility plainly would have suffered. That correction would have revealed to the jury not just that Sneed was untrustworthy, but also that Sneed was willing to lie to them under oath.
Yeah.
But that did not happen. So now they're saying, yeah, he is entitled to a new trial, because you
Wow.
can't have issues like this where people are being put to death when clearly their constitutional rights were violated. I'm glad this is
Right? Why
happening.
was that not questioned then?
Well, it has been over and over. This conviction was already overruled once early on.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And then reinstated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been a cluster kind of from day one. I, to me, like, oh yeah, definitely. If there's a reversible error here, then you know, it,
Then there is. Yeah.
then there is. Right. The prosecution cannot just do whatever they want. There are
Right.
rules, there are laws. Nobody's constitutional rights should be violated. I'm just I'm glad this is happening, but just looking at some of the other cases that have come up over the last while that did not get their due justice because of their rights being violated, this seems like a minor one in comparison.
It really does.
I mean, I'm glad it happened, obviously. I really feel, however, for the victim's family, because my God, they've been around the merry-go-round with this now for 27 years.
Yeah. That's hideous.
Yeah,
But if they never impeached his credibility, what the hell, man? He was the
yeah.
primary witness against this guy.
Mm-hmm.
God,
Yeah.
that's awful.
Uh, part of the dissent was written by Thomas Sanalito. I know, no one can believe that news. And basically, they were saying he was already not a very trustworthy witness. That was obvious to the jury already. This wouldn't have changed anything.
I don't think you can assume that, though.
But the
If they didn't get
prosecution
the full
can't let
story,
their witnesses lie on the stand and allow it. They have
no.
to remedy that, and they didn't. They just let it go.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And the
here's a
defense didn't
statement.
know, apparently. or they would have impeached it.
The defense did not know. Yeah.
Wow.
Here is a statement from Don Knight. He is the attorney for Richard Glossip. We are thankful for that a clear majority of the court supports longstanding precedent that prosecutors cannot hide critical evidence from defense lawyers and cannot stand by while their witnesses knowingly lie to the jury. Today was a victory for justice and fairness to our judicial system. Richard Glossip, who has maintained his innocence for 27 years, will now be given the chance to have the fair trial that he has always been denied. So what's going to happen now? Well, we don't know. We don't know. Will they take this back to trial? Or are they going to call it a day?
Right.
He's already
How
been in
long has he
prison
been
for
in
27 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the guy that actually commit the actual killing got the death penalty off the table by testifying against this man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wow.
It's a mess. So
that is a mess.
The prosecutors and the attorney general in Oklahoma are saying everything's on the table right now. So they're still evaluating their odds here, and this whole situation, and trying to decide: are we going back to trial with this, or are we not? But as for now, that's what's up.
Yeah. And Christine, that's a really good point. Christine says, "I'd like to see what else they hid." Right?
Yeah.
What else?
Mm-hmm.
Is there more that the prosecution knew and didn't share? Like,
right?
When the prosecution violates a defendant's rights like that, you have to question: is that the only time they did that?
Right.
Wow, that is so gross. When you're messing with the death penalty,
yep,
they have to be sure. This is why the death penalty needs abolished, because we can never be sure.
Right. Well, anything for a pound of flesh, apparently,
Right? God.
Yeah.
That's just hideous.
Yeah. And I don't know. We don't know if he was guilty of more than what he'd admitted to, or if he wasn't. He has been standing in that innocence now for 27 years. There have been attorneys fighting for his justice for 27 years. I mean, it certainly is a good reminder to all of us that the prosecution is not infallible. They have to follow the rules, period. It made me think about, looking back at Lori Vallow's trial, how, about 6 weeks before it went to trial, they had to take the death penalty off the table. And people were so enraged. Enraged. And we were saying, no, the prosecution screwed up. That had to happen.
There has to be a remedy.
There has to be a remedy. And we don't want to see this case, for some reason have a reversible error. So don't be mad. Like, roll with it. But man, people were so angry when that happened. But truly, at the end of the day, this is why.
Yeah, this is exactly why.
And there's a chance right now that a man has been in prison for 27 years. He would have gone to prison anyway because he helped to dispose of the body, helped to or cover up the crime, but not for 27 years. That would have been a much more minor
not on death row
sentence, and definitely not on death row. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
Yep.
I appreciate our legal system working sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That, because you're right, that we've seen cases that had way more evidence of malfeasance than this, where the state just still executed the person. It's happened just this past year. So
yes,
that's wild.
It did. Yep. So that's what I've got.
All
so
right.
I'm going to kick it back over to you for our main case.
Yes. You probably have seen in the news that there is a strike going on. Some people are calling it a riot, but it's actually a strike of prison guards in New York State. This strike is in its second week. And I'm going to tell you a lot more about that strike, but I want to tell you first about what started the strike. because this didn't start with striking prison guards. This started with the death of an inmate at Marcy Correctional named Robert Brooks. So let me, hang on one second. I'm going to show you Robert. This is Robert right here. Robert was killed in Marcy Correctional Facility on December 9th of 2024.
Okay.
He was 9 years into a 12-year sentence for assault. He had stabbed his girlfriend multiple times.
Oh, okay.
He was moved from another prison to Marcy Prison on December 9th because he'd been into some trouble and had been, so they moved him. Marcy Correctional being a medium security prison. And one of the things that we need to be aware of about Marcy Correctional is that there's a real history of guard brutality at Marcy Correctional. There had been a big study done in 2022 there's an independent oversight committee in New York that evaluates prisons in New York.
Okay.
And they had come back and said, yeah, there's a bunch of trouble here. There's racial bias. There's way more physical abuse happening here than happening in other prisons. They interviewed a lot of inmates and staff and, determined that this is a dangerous place that needed some problems solved.
Yeah.
At the time that Robert Brooks was murdered, several of the prison guards that turned out to be involved in Brooks's death were actually involved with lawsuits, civil suits for brutality in the prison.
Oh, man.
And they were still working their jobs while these civil suits were going on, and they were being represented by the Attorney General's office, Letitia James's office, because that's their job. Okay.
Right.
They believe now that about 18 prison guards and staff were involved in the death of Robert Brooks.
18?
18.
Holy shit.
11 of whom have now been indicted in his death. So a couple weeks ago, the grand jury came back with indictments, and that's when prison guards started striking in New York. Sanders, she is relentless today. So, not 11, 10. 10 have been now indicted. They are charged with second-degree murder and first-degree manslaughter, a lot of them. Some of them second-degree gang assault and first-degree gang assault and offering a false instrument for filing, so lying about what happened. Some of them are just charged with manslaughter because they just stood back and allowed these guards to beat this man to death.
Good God.
He was beaten 3 times on that day. Now remember, he just got to Marcy Prison on December 9th and was beaten severely 3 times that day. The third time, they beat him to death. They killed him. There is body cam footage of the beatings. I'm not going to share any of it with you because I watched some of it. I don't recommend it. It's hideous. It is a large group of large men with a man who is shackled and handcuffed being beat to death.
Oh my God.
The prosecutor's office has been unable to find any impetus for these beatings. And this is kind of what has been being reported out of Marcy Prison, that they just beat people up to beat people up. That there's sort of a gang of them.
There?
This was his first day there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, he hadn't been there long enough to do much.
Right.
And he certainly didn't deserve to be beat to death by 10 people. The autopsy came back and said that he died of neck compression. and blunt force trauma. George Floyd, anyone?
Wow.
Yeah, neck compression. That makes me sick to my stomach. How many times lately have we seen deaths or serious injuries of people by police in one form or another who are killed this way? Neck compression. That is so terrifying.
And
think
we
that you just kneel
know,
on somebody's neck till they die.
right? And we know that they are trained to not do that. That's not an acceptable way to to restrain. That it's not allowed. It's illegal to do. But obviously, who's following the laws here?
Right.
Oh,
exactly.
That is horrifying.
So now the lots of these folks have been indicted. The family has filed a civil rights lawsuit against the state of New York, the prisons or whatever. And what happened is that Governor Kathy Hochul, who is the governor for New York, came in when this happened, saw the body cam, looked at everything that had happened, was absolutely horrified.
Yeah.
Fired the superintendent of that prison and brought in someone else from a different prison who had a lot of experience to take over this situation. Came up with $400 million to install a camera system, which why was there not one before? Or there wasn't one, or the one they had was not working properly. So the only reason that they have recordings, these guys turned off their body cams, but some of them did it wrong. And so there was passive recording with no sound on 4 officers' body cams.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't think they had to go back to the body cam manufacturer to get help to get this footage. So some of them, they just record passively with no sound.
That there was no footage of this in any capacity.
That is what it appears to be the case. So this was a huge thing. Well, there's a lot of contention between the state of New York and these prison guards. And it's not simple. It's not like, they just all struck because of this. No, there are major problems in the prison system in New York State. People being forced to work 24-hour shifts.
Oh, no.
No time off. All kinds of stuff. And New York prisons are quite well known for being very violent places. Marcy being one of them, but not all of them. But not the only one. I mean, lots of them. So now what's happening is that prison guards are striking, and they're striking illegally. So there is a union for prison guards in New York, but public servants, like prison guards, are not allowed to strike, even under the, even though they have a union, they're not allowed to strike because they're essential employees. Like, what do you do if none of your prison guards will show up? So Kathy Hochul has called in. It is a terrifying thought. So these prisons just ground to a halt, and there's all these inmates, and they're not getting their medical care. They're not getting fed. They're not getting their needs met because there's no one in there taking care of them. Kathy Hochul has brought in the National Guard to take the place of prison guards. But guess what? National Guard doesn't know how to run prisons. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
No, so it's just a shit show all over the state.
It is a shit show. It is. Yeah. It's really dangerous. Public defenders all over New York are receiving calls from their clients saying, we're just in here alone. No one is taking care of us. We don't have any access to any of the things that we need. This is getting really dangerous. People are getting calls from loved ones. Same thing. People are terrified of what's happening in these prisons.
Yeah.
And unfortunately now there has been a death in one of the prisons. Give me 1 second to find this guy's name. I have so many articles about this. It's so much, you guys, and I know that I am in no way covering it completely, because there's just no way
Right.
to cover it completely.
Well,
In
frankly, a lot
one,
of this we won't know until later anyway.
right, we won't.
A lot of the story won't be
Um,
told for a while.
but a 61-year-old man in a different prison, not in Marcy, in a different prison, was found deceased in his cell in
Mm.
just the last couple of days.
And that's the only
He
death we know about, but there could easily
it's
be
the only
more.
one that we know about, but there's major concern,
Hmm.
and there are situations in which people might not even know, you know,
Hmm.
because people are not getting taken care of. I mean, these guys are locked in,
Right.
and they're just basically on lockdown,
Hmm.
and they have nowhere they can go. There's no one coming to help them.
Hmm.
The Supreme Court of New York has ordered these guys back to work. The prison, the striking prison guards, back to work, because their strike is illegal. Their union is not supporting them. The
Hmm.
union has said, we are not supporting this.
Yeah.
This is not, they also are not supporting the officers that are charged in the death of Robert Brooks. They're saying,
Right.
this was terrible, should never have
Right.
happened. This is not, we will not step in
Hmm.
and defend these folks, because they murdered this guy.
So help me understand why these are tied together.
Because it was the indictment of the prison guards
Hmm.
that kicked off the strike.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And they're alleging, and I'm not saying that they don't have legitimate concerns, because it sounds like they probably do
Yeah.
to some extent. That, way understaffed, being worked, told, if you don't stay here for a 24-hour shift, if you go home, you're fired. That kind of
Hmm.
shit is going on
Hmm.
at the same time that
Right.
this other stuff is happening too.
Hmm.
So it's a very complicated and extremely dangerous situation.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Grant, who is 61, was found unresponsive in his cell at Auburn Correctional Facility. And this is, one of the prisons where the guards are striking.
Hmm.
National Guard was deployed. But one of the things that they are finding that people are not getting access to are critical medical care, like blood pressure medication
Hmm.
and insulin.
Oh, dear God.
And if you're a diabetic who's on insulin and no
Yeah.
one's bringing you your insulin, or if you have very high blood pressure and you're not getting
Hmm.
you'll stroke out.
Yeah.
You'll stroke out. We don't know for sure what killed Jonathan Grant, but the concern is that it's possible that he died from not receiving the regular medical care that he needed to be
Sure.
receiving.
Yeah.
This is a really dangerous and scary situation, and it does not have a simple solution by any means. These guards have now been ordered back to work by the Supreme Court of New York,
Hmm.
and they're still not going back to work. One of the things that they're complaining about is when the governor came in after Robert Brooks's death,
Hmm.
one of the complaints was that they were way overusing solitary confinement as
Hmm.
punishment. And so she limited the use of solitary confinement and, started really cracking down on prison guards
Hmm.
because of what she found at Marcy Correctional.
Sure.
And now they're all pissed, and they're pissed that their co-workers are being indicted for this murder, even though it is very clear that it was absolutely a murder.
Sure.
And so they're no interest in really negotiating. There's not much negotiating actually going on, because their union isn't part of this.
Hmm.
So I don't know what the final outcome is going to be at all. The National Guard is in there trying to cover the bases, but what the hell do they know?
Doing? Sure.
Yeah, it's a very scary situation, and I'm concerned that more people will die before we
Yeah.
figure this out. They figure this out and
Hmm.
resolve it. But that is what we know right now. I know there's way more detail to it. I know there's more prisons have more stories. I know that. Don't worry. I'm not trying to leave anything out. We'll continue to cover this because it is so complicated, but those are the bones of the situation. And while these prison guards strike and prison staff strike, no one is taking care of the people who are locked up.
Right. Yeah.
Jessica says, where has the union been for these work hours, right? Why don't they have
Good
something set up
question.
for work hours? There should still be medical staff on hand, even if they are in lockdown, right? I have tons of questions too, Jessica. Obviously, things have been going wrong for a while.
Yeah.
Well, things have been going wrong for a while in Marcy Correctional because this was not the first brutality case by any means.
Not even by a stretch, yeah.
But
And the
this one
people
was
that were
so
accused of these things were still
blatant.
working there.
Yeah, still working. So definitely things have fallen down with the union. Things have fallen down with New York State and the governor's office and Department of Corrections. And also, some of these prisons have a culture of violence that is absolutely gut-wrenching.
Yep.
So I don't know what they're going to do about this, to be perfectly honest. What is the long-term solution? I don't know. But they've certainly got to get their shit together and get figured out how to be sure that there are medical staff on to be providing medical care, and, you know, the basic needs of these prisoners are being met, because they are 100% at the mercy of the prison staff.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can like or dislike criminals. The point is they're human beings. And they are 100% dependent upon the people that run that prison. They cannot do anything to protect themselves.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Boy, that is something.
Yeah. So it could get a lot worse, I'm afraid. And I think it might, because they've not come to any kind of understanding. And yes, hate crime is what happened to Robert Brooks. Most definitely it is.
Agree, Tay. Definitely.
Absolutely. That's why this segment was called Racial Injustice, because that goon squad that killed him were known to attack Black inmates.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Go read about it. Watch the body cam if you want to, but I would not recommend it. Yeah. It is terrible. It is terrible what they did to him.
Yeah.
And you know, I've seen a lot of people on TikTok sharing that they have a family member in one of these prisons and how worried they are for them, and this is so terrifying that something awful is going to happen. Robert Brooks's son has come out and said how devastated that he is. His dad only had 3 more years in his sentence, and that he felt like his dad had done a lot to change, and that he felt like he was going to come out a better person, and that he was actually, he was just a little kid when he went into prison.
Sure.
Yeah. And he was really hoping for an opportunity to get to actually know his dad, and it's awful. And his family has filed a civil rights lawsuit against the state of New York.
Sure.
Which, good, that needs to happen. But they've got to figure out how to take care of those prisoners so more people don't die. Super scary. So we will update you on that as things happen. You know, it's possible that there are still more indictments coming. The main players have been indicted, but then there are people who, you know, stood back and watched or facilitated this in some way. And there are more people. The investigation is not over for how many people may be arrested for Robert Brooks's murder in the midst of this total powder keg. Very scary.
Yeah.
So with that, Katie, I'm going to kick the mic back to you for some WTF news.
Okay. Well, say hello to Kelli. Kelli Tedford. Kelli, you're in trouble. Or should we say you're in trouble?
Oh, no.
Kelli's in trouble. This is one Kelli's post.
Involved, huh?
Ask me about how I pissed in a betta fish at Petco. Yeah.
Gross. What?
Kelli had an OnlyFans. She lives in Keene, New Hampshire. And apparently, people have been paying her on the internet to watch her peeing all over town. She urinated at on the floor at Five Guys. She got kicked out of the gym, according to locals, for peeing all over the gym, on the floors at the gym.
What?
She admittedly from one of her videos, peed in a betta fish at Petco. Holy shit. And people are paying for this. And
so people are paying to see her do these things?
Yes. Yes, this was OnlyFans. Yes. Yeah.
What? Wow.
Yeah. So in the meantime, the police in her town received a call from an anonymous person who said that she had posted some disturbing videos online of her peeing on food in a grocery store.
Oh, no.
This is
worse than that wiener guy.
Yeah. At Monodoc Food Co-op. And the food co-op has, of course, had to recall a bunch of food because including raw walnuts, organic red quinoa, and organic oatmeal. They said that their financial loss is over $1,500. Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Fine, do your weird freaky shit on OnlyFans, but why does it have to affect the general public?
Yeah. And food. And the real question I think everyone should be asking is, where else has she done this?
Right?
But I felt like
it's like that
probably deserved a song.
Oh yeah, because it's like antique store guy that was sticking up stuff up his butt in antique stores. Oh my God. Okay.
Jesus,
we've known too many of these cases.
We really have. So I wrote a song with the help of AI. I wrote a song. The song is called Peeing Across the USA because that's what AI wanted to call it. It was really her community, but we're going to let it stand. So
I mean, do we know for sure?
Well, we probably don't.
She could work while she's on vacay.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Crazy reading lots of locals in Keene commenting on this that they know her, they went to school with her, and basically they're all saying it was just a matter of time.
Oh boy.
Well, anyway.
Well, I started my tour at the Petco store. Didn't buy a thing, but you left some more. Took a little squat by the fish tank aisle. Now I'm trending online. Oh man, it's vile. Peeing at Petco, Five Guys too. Left my mark at Target, then hit the gym's loo. Filmed it all for OnlyFans, what a payday. I'm contaminating groceries across the USA. Next stop, Five Guys for some burger delight, but I left them something extra, man, that ain't right. Shook my fries in a way you don't wanna see. Now the health department's chasing me. Peeing at Petco, Five Guys too. Left my mark at Target, then hit the gym's loo. Filmed it all for OnlyFans, what a payday. I'm contaminating groceries across the USA. Oh, they got my mugshot, I'm going viral. Grocery stores putting up my do not end spiral. Keene PD's calling, yeah, I'm in deep. All cause my bladder just couldn't keep. The co-op freaked out, threw my oats away. Sanitized the shelves, had a real bad day. Ain't no fresh produce been touched by me, but good luck eating that red key. No IGs, yeah. Peeing at Petco, Five Guys too. Left my mark at Target, then hit the gym's loo. Filmed it all for OnlyFans, what a payday. I'm contaminating groceries across the USA. So now I'm free on bail. Got a court date soon, but my OnlyFans poppin'. Hit a milli by noon. Guess crime don't pay. Well, maybe it do if you're dumb enough to stream your own peak crimes too. So now I'm free on bail. Got a court date soon, but my OnlyFans poppin'. Hit a milli by noon. Guess crime don't pay. Well, maybe it do if you're dumb enough to stream your own peak crimes too.
There you have it.
Oh my God.
I don't actually know how many people follow her on OnlyFans. I doubt it's very many, but the hard yikes. What? Kelli, you got to get your life together. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Don't be involved in the general public in your weird fetishes, please.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. That's so gross.
Yeah. So she's actually out ROR, awaiting a trial date. It's not a very hefty charge, actually. It's like a criminal mischief charge. But at any rate, yeah, it gives new meaning to streaming. Good point, Steph. So anyway, there you go.
Oh, my Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's something. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is a day for bullshit and shenanigans as usual, isn't it?
Apparently it is. Just looking at Jessica's comments, she is a correctional officer in a prison, saying that they have to pass training and pass an academy before they can work in the units, and that they have mandatory overtime as well, but they can only work a 16-hour shift and have to be out for 8 hours before they can come back. Boy, that's how it should be, at least. Yeah.
Right. You can't be forcing people to work 24-hour shifts.
That's insanity. Yeah.
Well, and that is just asking for violence. That's just asking for all kinds of problems. When somebody's tired and so done with this shit and can't get away and get a break, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's all a big hot mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, it is. Well, that is what we have for you today. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Mountain for case updates. We always have lots on Wednesdays. And thanks for being here. We appreciate you so much. You can go to truecrimesquad.com to see what all we are up to. And we will be back. So you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.